They say monsters hide under the bed, but the real ones fold their clothes neatly, mow their lawn, and wave politely to their neighbors. I am Detective Drayk, and the moment I stepped into the small Wichita suburb, something felt wrong. The air was too clean, the streets too quiet, like evil had wiped its fingerprints and melted back into the crowd. But it was here, somewhere between the clipped hedges and locked front doors, that BTK thrived. Bind, torture, kill. 3 words, simple in structure, unimaginably grotesque in execution. He wasn't a shadow in the night. He was a church council president, a compliance officer, a man with wire-frame glasses who wore tucked-in polos and drove a beige sedan. But inside him was rot, the kind that grows silently, like mold behind drywall. His crimes weren't impulsive. They were blueprints, precise, cruel, and ritualistic. He stalked his victims, learned their habits, drew diagrams, wrote letters, like a twisted artist obsessed with his gallery of suffering. I stood in the same hallway where the Otero family was murdered. The wallpaper had changed, but the silence hadn't. He bound the parents, tortured them, killed their children, all with the detached calm of a man changing a flat tire. No rage, just process. He wanted control, not just over his victims, but over the narrative. He sent letters to the media, mocking the police, signing off with his self-made title, BTK. Now pause with me here. Viewers, I want your minds on this. You're in my shoes, walking into this case with just fragments, torn letters, eerie sketches, the aftermath of a perfectly planned storm. You tell me, was BTK a man pretending to be a monster, or a monster pretending to be a man? Drop your theories below. How would you hunt someone who wants to be found, but only on his terms? Back to the hunt. It took decades, not because he was smarter, but because he was patient. When the killing stopped, people thought he died or moved away, but he was right there, hiding in plain sight. Until 2004, a letter, a floppy disk, a mistake. He asked the police if metadata could be traced. They said no. He believed them, and just like that, the mask cracked. The disk led to a church computer. The church led to Dennis Rader. And when they opened his filing cabinets, they didn't find paperwork. They found torture drawings, victim plans, and souvenirs, trophies, proof of the darkness he'd hidden beneath suburban beige. I sat across from him in an interview room once. His voice was level, no tremble. He called his victims projects. He spoke of them the way someone might recall old furniture, detached, technical, efficient. I asked him why. He said, it was a factor of me, the dark side of me. Like his own evil was a distant relative, someone he tolerated but never invited to dinner. There's a unique kind of evil that doesn't shout. It smiles. That's what Dennis Rader was. Not a scream in the night, a whisper, a neighbor, a predator with a briefcase and a Bible. By the way, if you've made it this far, you're no ordinary viewer. You're a thinker, the type I'd want back in me on a case. So, consider this your unofficial badge. Hit that little button down there. You know which one. Helps keep the agency running. And hey, a detective who talks to ghosts could use a few smart allies. In the end, Rader wasn't caught by brilliance. He was caught by ego. He needed the world to remember him. That was his flaw. He wasn't hunting victims anymore. He was hunting attention, and that's what evil often does. It overreaches. Here's what stuck with me. Evil doesn't need a knife. Sometimes it just needs time. It grows in quiet rooms, behind fake smiles, next to framed family photos. And if you're not careful, it can dress itself as ordinary. Sleep with your doors locked, but more importantly, learn to read the people who hold the keys.